Ever had one of those dreams? You know, the kind that feels so real? You wake up and for a second, you're not quite sure what's what.
Oh, absolutely. Those can really stick with you.
Right, so what if? What if those intense dreams weren't just your brain cleaning house overnight? What if they were something, well, more?
More profound, you mean?
Exactly. Today we're diving into something pretty mind-bending. Could our awareness, our consciousness, actually stretch beyond just us? Maybe even, like, touch other universes?
And could dreams be the key? Glimpses into alternate lives.
That's the question. Welcome to the deep dive. We try to take these big ideas from science, from philosophy, and make some sense of them for you.
And today's mission is quantum dreams, the science of multiverse consciousness.
Yeah, we're asking, could your dreams be more than just fantasy? Could quantum physics actually suggest a multiverse? But for our minds, it sounds wild.
It does. It really captures the imagination, the whole multiverse idea.
Yeah.
Feels like pure sci-fi, right?
Totally, like comic books or movies.
But, it's actually become a serious topic in physics. It's not just filmmakers kicking ideas around anymore. There are real scientific theories that suggest our universe might just be one among, well, maybe countless others.
Okay, hold on. The multiverse. Let's unpack that because, yeah, for a lot of us, it sounds out there. You're saying there's actual science behind this, not just speculation.
There is, yeah. One of the big ones is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Hugh Everett III proposed this way back in 1957.
1957, wow, okay.
Yeah, so the core idea is this. Every time a quantum event happens, think of like a tiny particle that could be here or there. The universe doesn't just pick one outcome.
It doesn't.
No. According to many worlds, it splits, it branches off, creating multiple realities. So in one reality, the particle is here, and in another newly created reality, it's there. Every single possibility gets realized.
Like every single tiny quantum event, like constantly. That makes...
An almost unimaginable number of universes splitting off all the time. Yeah.
That's staggering. I mean, does everyone in physics buy into that?
Oh, definitely not universally accepted. It solves some tricky quantum problems, sure. But the sheer number of universes it proposes is a major sticking point for many. It's still hotly debated.
Okay. What else points towards a multiverse?
Well, then there's cosmic inflation theory. Think about the very, very early universe, like fractions of a second after the Big Bang. The idea is it expanded incredibly fast.
Right, inflation.
And this theory suggests that maybe different patches of space-time inflated kinda independently. They might have ballooned out to form separate bubble universes. Alan Gough's work, especially around 2007, really explored this.
Bubble universes, so like completely separate from ours, maybe with different rules.
Potentially, yes. Which leads us to something even more abstract. The string theory landscape.
Ah, string theory. Always complex.
Right. So string theory tries to unify all the fundamental forces. And one of its implications is that there might be a huge number, maybe trillions of possible stable states or vacuums. Yeah, each representing a potential universe, possibly with its own unique physical laws. Leonard Susskind did a lot of work on this landscape idea in the early 2000s. So we're not just talking copies of our universe, but maybe ones where physics itself is different.
Okay, let me see if I've got this. Many worlds, infinite splits from quantum choices, cosmic inflation, separate bubble universes from the early expansion, string theory, a vast landscape of possible universes with different physics. Is that about right?
That's a great summary, yeah. Taken together, these theories paint a picture where the multiverse isn't just, a fun idea, but potentially the fundamental structure of reality itself.
Okay. Mind officially blown, part 1. But now,
Yeah.
how does this connect back to us, to our consciousness? Because that's the really strange part, right? Connecting this massive cosmic scale to our inner experience.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, consciousness itself is still a huge mystery. We don't fully understand what it is or how it arises.
But there are theories trying to link it to quantum physics.
There are. Some are pretty controversial, mind you, but fascinating. One of the most well-known is the Orchor theory.
Orchor.
Orchestrated objective reduction. It was developed by Sir Roger Penrose, the physicist, and Stuart Hanroff, an anesthesiologist. Their work, especially around 2014, suggests that consciousness might actually emerge from quantum processes happening inside our brain cells.
Inside our brain cells? How?
Specifically within structures called microtubules. They're like tiny scaffolding inside neurons. Penrose and Hanroff proposed that quantum computations, or quantum effects, could be happening within these microtubules.
Quantum effects in the brain. leading to consciousness. That sounds pretty wild.
It is. And what's really key to their idea is the concept of quantum non-locality.
Non-locality. That's the spooky action at a distance thing, right? Where entangled particles seem linked no matter how far apart.
Exactly. So if the quantum states underlying consciousness in these microtubules have non-local properties, it opens up some really strange possibilities. Like, could our minds potentially be connected to quantum phenomena outside our individual brains? Maybe even cosmically.
Whoa. Okay. So if consciousness has this quantum non-local aspect, could it, like, reach across realities? Could it connect to those other universes the multiverse theories suggest? That feels like a massive leap.
It's definitely a significant leap and highly speculative. Let's be clear about that. But if consciousness is fundamentally quantum, and if the quantum realm underpins a multiverse, well, then the question of whether consciousness could somehow interact across universes isn't completely dismissible, however unlikely it seems right now.
Which brings us back to dreams. Because, like we said, those really vivid ones feel like something else is happening. Could they be more than just brain noise? Could they actually be us tapping to something?
That's the really captivating thought, isn't it? Now, mainstream neuroscience has solid explanations for dreaming, memory consolidation, emotional processing, that sort of thing. And that's likely a big part of it.
Right. The standard explanation.
But the sheer strangeness, the otherworldliness of some dreams, has led some thinkers to ask, what if? What if dreams aren't just internal brain activity? What if they're also picking up on something else? Like interdimensional static.
Interdimensional static. I like that. It sounds eerie. So how would that work with the many worlds idea? You know, the one where every choice splits reality.
Well, think about it. If many worlds is right, there are countless versions of you out there. Versions that took the other job, married someone else, learned to fly. Whatever choices you didn't make, another you did in a parallel timeline.
Okay, yeah. Infinite maze.
So the really mind-bending question is, could your consciousness, especially in the altered state of dreaming, somehow resonate or connect with the consciousness of those other yous? Could your dreams be like faint echoes or bleed through experiences from those alternate realities?
So that dream where I'm a rock star, maybe that's actually happening to another me somewhere, and I'm just getting a faint signal.
According to many worlds, the rockstar you definitely exists in some branch. The really speculative part is whether your dream is somehow linked to that reality. It's an extraordinary claim.
Is there any evidence at all for this? It sounds amazing, but is it just wishful thinking?
You're right to ask. There's no hard, definitive proof. Not in the way we usually mean scientific evidence. It's very much on the speculative fringe.
Okay.
However, quantum mechanics itself is full of weirdness. Things like observed entanglement, the idea that just looking at a quantum system can change it, suggests that consciousness and physical reality might be linked in ways we don't understand yet. If consciousness plays a role in how quantum possibilities become definite reality, well, it keeps these kinds of questions open.
So it's not completely impossible, just way out there. When I wake up feeling like a dream was more real than reality, maybe some tiny quantum part of me did experience something. It makes you ask, right? Is that dream self just fantasy, or could it be a flicker from a quantum twin?
Exactly. And you can take this thinking even further beyond just dreams. What if consciousness isn't just something brains produce, but something more fundamental?
More fundamental. How?
What if there's some kind of underlying conscious quantum field woven into the fabric of reality itself?
Okay, now we're definitely wading into deep philosophical waters.
We are. There's this idea called panpsychism. It's an old philosophical concept, but it's getting renewed interest. People like Philip Goff, in his 2019 book, argue that consciousness might be a fundamental property of the universe, like mass or electric charge, not just something that pops up in complex brains.
Consciousness. As fundamental as gravity. Wow, what would that even mean for us, for the multiverse?
Well, if panpsychism is correct, or something like it, consciousness might be inherent in the quantum fields that make up everything. And if that's true, maybe all minds across all potential universes are interconnected or entangled at some deep level.
Entangled minds across universes.
It's a potential implication. It could allow for some kind of resonance, maybe even interaction across timelines.
Woohoo.
It even suggests that your sense of being a single self might be an illusion.
An illusion.
Perhaps you're not just this one consciousness in this one body. Maybe yourself is actually distributed, existing across multiple dimensions or realities simultaneously.
A distributed self. That's hard to wrap my head around. So the me right here, right now, is just one node in a huge multiversal network of me.
That's the radical implication, yes. If consciousness really does have this non-local quantum nature, then the boundaries of your mind might not be where you think they are.
Yeah.
Your awareness could potentially extend beyond your skull,
Yeah.
tapping into this wider quantum field, maybe even resonating with those other versions of you.
Okay, the implications here are just massive, aren't they? If any of this is even partly true, it changes everything.
It really does. Think about death, for instance. If consciousness isn't solely produced by the physical brain, then maybe biological death isn't the absolute end.
You mean, it could be more like a transition.
Potentially. A transition to another state, or maybe even shifting focus to another reality within the multiverse. It's pure speculation, of course, but it follows from the premise.
And identity. Who am I if there are countless versions of me living different lives?
It suggests identity is way more complex than we think. Not a single thread, but maybe more like a multiversal tapestry, woven from all those different possibilities and experiences.
It even makes you wonder about things we don't understand well, like certain mental health conditions or intense mystical experiences, or even déjà vu, could they be? Glimpses across realities, like signal overlaps.
That's an extremely speculative idea, but some theorists do wonder about that. If there's this constant quantum flux and interconnectedness, maybe sometimes the boundaries blur or we become momentarily sensitive to, well, something from elsewhere.
We absolutely have to stress, though this is theoretical, right? On the very edge of science and philosophy.
Absolutely critical to remember that. This is an established fact. We don't have proof. But these ideas aren't just pulled out of thin air either. They stem from physicists and neuroscientists grappling with the deepest questions about reality and consciousness. They're pushing the boundaries. And these are the kinds of wild possibilities that emerge.
So the message for you listening right now is maybe. Just maybe. You're more than you think you are. Not just this body, this mind, this one life. Potentially, you could be a multitude of yous experiencing the universe from countless different perspectives.
Precisely. We've journeyed through parallel selves, quantum minds, dreams as potential portals. It all points towards a universe that might be vastly more interconnected, more conscious than we usually imagine.
So maybe tonight, when you drift off, pay a little extra attention to your dreams. You never know, right? Maybe you'll catch a glimpse of something extraordinary.
Keep wondering. Keep exploring those inner and outer frontiers.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into quantum dreams and multiverse consciousness. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and maybe keep dreaming of infinity.